Did you know that you can make money by trading once a week? Now, think about this. How does that sound? Being able to take one trade a week and make good earnings. If that sounds like something you'd like, let me know in the comments. And I'm going to teach you today, so I want to hear from you. And by the way, we have been getting just tremendous feedback on all of the videos, and that's why I'm here. And so as I'm going to be teaching today, if a thought comes your way, whatever it is, I want to hear from you because we are getting a lot of good feedback, and it really means a lot to me to be able to help as many people as we can, and we got to get engaged. So hit that like button, leave a comment, make sure you subscribe because I am going to reply to everyone, and I'm going to even talk about your comments in a future video so that you can get access to a great trader with not just me, but my whole team. We've got a lot of experience here, and we're here for one reason only, and that's to help you. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the cool thing about weekly charts, there's some benefits and some drawbacks. So let's start with the drawbacks. I always like to look at the drawbacks. The biggest drawback is a big stop loss, right? So you might be saying to yourself, oh man, I can't trade something with it like that because I have a big stop loss. And so let's take a look at what a trade might look like. So in this particular example, we're looking at the Australian US dollar, and you can see I've got myself, why did I say US dollar? I meant Japanese yen. Forgive me. What am I thinking? Okay. Anyways, we have this Aussie yen. Now, in this particular setup, if you remember, how many of you remember the video I did last week when I talked about this special candlestick, right? It was a special candlestick pattern called the tweezer candle. Does anybody remember that? Right? Does anyone remember that pattern? Please let me know in the comments. If you didn't, go back and find it and watch that video. But you know what we could do too is I'll leave a link to that video below so you can get access to it because it was really cool. But right here we have it. So let me zoom up on it so you can see a little bit. Okay, there it is, the tweezer, boom, booyah. And in this particular situation, that's a 211 pip stop loss, right? But as you can see, the potential target is 1,000 pips. Now, it's going to take you some time. That's the other drawback. So drawback number one is that it's a big stop loss. Drawback number two is that it's going to take time for the trade to develop. So if you can't wait for money and you got to have that money and got to have it now, well, then this strategy weekly might not be for you. So again, on the third thing is if your account is a little bit smaller, you will have to trade, your size has to be a little bit smaller. So let's break that down. So those are the disadvantages. It takes longer, your stop loss is bigger, and it's harder for smaller accounts. But that doesn't mean you can't do it with a small account. So let's just take a look. We got one trade. Let's do one trade a week, right? So the first trade here, we would take it and we'd get a really nice 1,000 pip target with a 200 pip stop loss. That makes it a 5-to-1 risk to reward. 5-to-1, okay? Now that's pretty awesome because why? Because if we're risking 2%, let's do this. I could actually pull up my whiteboard here and have a little fun with this because I love looking at whiteboards. You probably think it's boring, but whatever. I love looking at these whiteboards. So we do a 2% risk, right? And you hit a 5-to-1 on it. So that means if you hit, it's basically 2% times 5 or 2% times 1. Okay, so the loss would be 2%. Okay, but the winner would be 2 times 5, 10%. Okay, 10% ROI. Now, pop quiz. Did you guys know that most successful traders and investors try to get only 10% a year, and yet you could get that in a total of this is like a 2 months, right? So you could get a year's worth of some traders' success in only 2 months. So it's not that bad, right? And we could do one weekly trade a year, or a week. You could trade. You could actually do 2 or 3 weekly trades. So you could constantly be hitting these big 10-to-1 trades using a weekly time frame. So we talked about the disadvantages. Now let's talk about the advantages. Number one is you have a pretty good high win rate using weekly charts because you give yourself a big stop loss. You can lock in profit. So it helps with your winning rate. Advantage number two is it doesn't take a lot of time. You could literally come in and trade on Mondays, or you could trade on Fridays at the end of the week. I like Monday. You come in, you place your trade at the start of the week, you got lots of time. It only takes you, an hour to do your analysis. You place the trade and you go. So how many of you would like to trade an hour a week and then spend the rest of your time doing whatever you want? Not bad. And then you come back and you check your trades. So advantage number one is high win rate. Advantage number two is it doesn't take a lot of time. Advantage number three is that it's easy to identify the patterns. It's very easy to identify the patterns, and the patterns are pretty strong. So in this case, we're trading the tweezer pattern, and it just went straight up. So let's go ahead now, and we'll take a look at. Oh, you know what? Another advantage is a good risk to reward ratio. You can catch really big moves if you catch a trend on the weekly chart, right? And so that is another advantage. Big risk to reward. That was a 5-to-1 on this particular trade. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the patterns we could look for. So one of the great ways to trade weeklies is with trends, right? Following the trends, and we'll call it the pullback. And I could actually go back to one of the comments from my last video on how to trade candlesticks, and he was asking, let's see who it was here. He was asking for how to find and trade retracements and pullbacks. That was New Bass Player 400. And so I'm just following up, and he did that on the how to trade candlesticks. So let me pull that up. New Bass 500, it was this video right here on how to trade candlesticks, and he's asking how to do a training on retracement and pullbacks. So thanks, New Bass, and I'm answering your question live. So awesome work. Now, so this is a perfect example. So step one is you find the direction, okay? Step two is you wait for, you guessed it, the pullback, which is right here, okay? And then step three is you wait for an entry signal. And there's 2 different ways I'm going to show you. Number one, it pulls right back in to the retracement strategy, or that I did last week, the tweezer. You find a tweezer pattern, right? And we know that tweezer pattern works pretty well. I just showed you in the last video. So you find the direction of the trend, you find the tweezer pattern right here, okay? And boom, there you have it. Stop loss here, entry here, trade away. Okay, and obviously that's easy to do in hindsight. I will go ahead and see if we can find one right now. As well. The next thing you can do is we got the pullback. We know that it's pulling back, is you just draw a trend line. So this is a weekly chart. So this is a trend channel. And so we know that this is going like this, but on a daily, this is a pretty significant pullback. Okay, very significant. And so you could put a trend line right here and wait for price to open above the trend line. Now, it's interesting to note that the tweezer pattern and the trend line was the same entry. You would have entered the very next week. If you're trading on a Monday, you would have entered right in here where the market started. So either way, it's the same type of strategy, okay? Same type of entry. And then you also could you want to make sure you're looking at support and resistance levels, right? And so we have, and I'll do a video on that if you guys are interested. If you're interested in a support and resistance video, let me know in the comments so I know. I already got one video on that, one request, but I need at least 10 more. So please let me know in the comments if you're interested in a support and resistance video. I'm actually really appreciating all of the feedback that I've been getting, and a lot of people have been sharing some good testimonies as well, so I appreciate that. All right, so now let's go ahead and see if we can identify a potential trade right now. So with that being said, I'm going to just pull up some random weekly charts. Let's do it. Let's do it random on the fly. Okay, so what do we have? Ooh. Anyone? Come on. I only had to look at this for 10 seconds and I see it. Now, we got ourselves the tweezer trade. We got a bullish candle and then this one, right? And so it's a Tuesday, so it's still trying to make its way lower. What are we going to do here? Okay, what are we going to do? Well, let's go ahead and put the line. Oh yeah, it retested and now it's headed lower. Now the only problem with this trade, okay, the only problem with this is that this is a counter trend, because this thing is really moving up and it's really powerful, and we have a support level right here. So it could just go splat right into that support level. But even if it does that, that's a pretty nice, it's a pretty nice area it could get to, 125 pips. Our stop loss was way too big though, 400 pips. So that's a little bit of an issue. But let's, before we make our decision, let's evaluate a little bit. So we have, how strong is the support? That's one thing that I want to know, is how strong is the support? So we'll draw that, and you can see it's a pretty important support level. It hit right here, and it hit right here, and then also it bounced right back into it and it bounced up. So I'm a little concerned about this support level. I would much rather find a tweezer pattern that was bouncing off of the level, right? So let's just, for this demonstration, say that we get a bounce here, and then we get a red, green, and red candle, and then a green, and then we have the pattern happening right here. I would much rather take this long with the tweezer candle right here with the continuation in the direction of the trend. So I'm going to pass on that one and hope that it bounces here and we get a weekly candle right here in the direction of the trend. Okay, so this could be a solid setup if next week the pattern is different. Let's say next week it comes down here. Well, that's a different story, because now I'm going to wait and we get a second trade, okay? And it might go lower, right? So I'll wait on this one. And again, patience is important, guys. Just, you can be patient with your trading. No worries there. Okay, well, now that that was in play, let's see what else we got. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly charts. Let's look at the euro, okay? Weekly, all right? Weekly on the euro. And this is a euro dollar. And oh, wow, I like what I see here, guys. I like what we see. I am looking at a weekly. It's moving up actually right now. Yay. But we got this trend line. Oh, this is actually New Bass's question, pullback, right? We've got the weekly bull. So Monday would have been probably a pretty good day to take this. It's still got this resistance right here. But I think we could actually find a trade right here as this breaks. It still has this resistance. It might not go. It could bounce off of it and move down. Let's just pull this up to a daily just to see what it looks like on a daily. Daily, you can see we have the channel, and I'm going to draw this on the daily. Look at that. It's testing this. So the MACD is pulling up, and I didn't even talk about MACD. If you wanted me to do a video on MACD, let me know in the comments. But I think we could break here and then pop and then go, away we go. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's take this trade right now. And I'm going to just do it for everyone to see, because that's the fun thing to do. So we're going to do a custom buy using my Epic tool. And I'm going to put my stop loss right here and my take profit up here. But again, with a weekly, I might just let this thing go much further. But right now, we're at a 267 to 380. So it's about a 2-to-1 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab that trade and we're going to make it happen. So thanks for watching how to do a weekly trade, and that was a daily, but it's actually a weekly. You can see it looks pretty nice, don't you agree? If you agree with the trade, let me know. If you disagree with the trade, let me know. Tell me why I'm wrong, tell me why I'm right. Just talk to me in the comments. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the next video.